Hello and good afternoon. I'm Rose Solari, poet, fiction writer, and co-founder of Squire Publishing, a small press with big ideas. As many of you know, this is also April 1st, which means it's the first day of National Poetry Month. I remember when I was a young beginning poet, just starting to get published, how excited I was the first time I got asked to read as a part of a National Poetry Month celebration. I felt like I'd really arrived, like I was an official poet now. So it's deeply sad to report that for many of us at Allen Squire Publishing, our readings have been canceled for April and into May. So I don't know how soon we'll be able to bring you our work live as we'd promised. Instead, we're doing a couple of other things. For one thing, all of our Kindle books are now on sale for 99 cents or $1.99. And we're going to keep those prices there as long as we can so you have plenty of good reads for very few dollars to keep you busy while you're sheltering in place. Also, if you prefer hard copy books, and you may know that our books are particularly beautifully made, we're running all kinds of sales on the Allen Squire Publishing site right now. You can go to allensquirepublishing.com and buy bundles of fiction, poetry, mixed genre works, and the shipping's free. And I personally will wipe them all down with Clorox wipes before I put them in an envelope. In the meantime, I thought I'd try a little something different for me, which is to come here every Wednesday at 4, hump day as they call it, and share some poetry. So today I'm going to kick off with one of my favorite poets from Allen Squire Publishing, Elizabeth Hazen, and then I'll share a poem of my own. This is Elizabeth's gorgeous second book, Girls Like Us. It's a stunning collection. Elizabeth Spires, who many of you have heard of, a great poet in her own right, says Hazen is a poet of admirable courage, unflinching honesty, and deep accomplishment. And Carrie Fountain says simply, this is poetry on fire. So I'm going to read you one of my favorite poems from Elizabeth's new book, which I will remind you is on sale at Allen Squire Publishing. You can get this and her first book, Chaos Theories, for the price of one. This gorgeous poem is called Monarch. It's been said by many people that poetry is really about loss. I think it might be perhaps clearer or a little more accurate to say that yes, most poetry is about loss, but it's also about how we hang on to the things we've lost and how we enshrine them and keep them treasured and commemorated in our words and therefore in our hearts. This poem by Elizabeth is about such a memory of such a loss and what it means after. This is called Monarch. A monarch butterfly fallen from the air lay in a field. I took her home, pinned her to the wall above my desk. For 5 years, she was part of the scenery, like the teacup my son painted, or like the post-it note you left once, slipping out before I woke. I love you, scrawled in Sharpie. I took for granted her orange rind stained glass wings, slanted bolts of black, the texture of velvet paintings, white spots along the edge like eyelets. I moved in with you gradually, a few boxes each weekend for months. I moved the Monarch toward the end in a frenzy of packing and lifting. I was careless with her, tossed her without thinking into a liquor box filled with books, the spine's uneven hazards. That she was mine to protect had not occurred to me before I opened the box to find the right wing torn. So all that was left was her body, the other wing, and orange flecks like confetti that I shook out over my empty desk, brushed into my palm, and let fall into the trash. I was certain she was beyond repair. But now that she's gone, I see her everywhere. I find this poem moving for so many reasons. If you read it on the page, it's in very restrained 2-line stanzas, and each couplet is slant rhymed, which is astonishing, I think, because you don't hear the rhymes banging in your ear. They're very gentle. Um, I love that it's addressed to someone. I think it adds such warmth to the poem that there's a you in it to whom the I is speaking. And I find it particularly moving that she says of the monarch that she was mine to protect had not occurred to me before I opened the box to find the right wing torn. Because how often we don't realize things are precious to us and that we should be taking care of them until they're damaged in some way. I think it's an astonishingly wise poem and also a beautiful poem in its subtext about moving on in life. As the narrator moves in with her lover, things are lost, but other things are found. I'm going to read a poem of my own that also ends with the word everywhere and is a similar theme. This is from my third collection of poems. That's right, that was Liz's second. This is my third. It's called The Last Girl. You can also find this on Alan Squire Publishing in a bundle with my other two books of poems, should you be interested in more. This poem ends with the word everywhere, as Liz's does, and it's also about a loss, though in this case, not a butterfly, but a person. The spine of this book, of The Last Girl, is really a sequence of 4 poems from my late brother, who passed away some years back. My family is Italian American on both sides. All my grandparents are Italian. It might help you to understand the poem a bit if you know that. It's called Another Country, and the country in the title is Italy. My mom was a really talented singer and pianist and played and sang while we were growing up, and my family would often have sing-alongs among us. My brother had an excellent voice as well and would sing with her. So I'd like to share this poem, which is about my late brother and my mother and about going to Italy. There are 2 Italian quotes in the poem from Italian songs. The first one is Che bella cosa è una giornata e sole, which means what a beautiful thing is a day in the sun. I know we're all looking forward to that again. And the second is from an aria from the opera La Traviata, and that is Addio del passato, and it means goodbye to the past, farewell, past. This is called Another Country. How you would swing me up onto your shoulders, my big, big brother, making us 2 in 1, sky slung, a 4-armed creature singing about the country we'd never seen, except in pictures. Che bella cosa è una giornata e sole. My knees, the wings of your shoulders, Mom at the piano, her voice the highest of high sopranos, weaving over us. No one can say we didn't love each other then, that we weren't happy. Now you're 2 years gone, and nobody dances on anyone's shoulders in that earth-dark place where, I think, what's left of you must swim. Addio del passato. And that country, I went at last year. All the gold wine light of history and songs cheap on the streets. Your face was everywhere. In this case, the everywhere that concludes is about how I suddenly saw the features of my relatives and my ancestors everywhere I went. In Rome, in Florence, in Venice. I felt as though everyone I saw could be related to me. There was my dad's nose. There were my brother's eyes. There were my mother's hands. And so in commemorating my brother in this poem, I also acknowledge that he is indeed everywhere in the outside world around me and of course also in my heart. It was a great, great good fortune for me to grow up with so much music in my life. And I am grateful to my mom for that, as I am grateful to my father for the literature he brought into our house. My mother's birthday, it occurs to me, is tomorrow, and my father's is Sunday. So my 2 late, fabulous Aries parents are much with me right now. Anyway, thank you so much for listening to these two poems. I just want to remind you that these books and many, many more are on sale at allensquirepublishing.com in a variety of sale bundles. Our Kindle books are cheap. And I will be back here next Wednesday at 4 o'clock to get you through your hump day with some more poetry. In the meantime, stay safe, be well, read, take care of each other, and we'll get through this. I'll see you on the other shore after we swim through these particularly rough waters. Thanks for checking in.